Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tuesday edition of Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour and we'll give you the winners. I am your host, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper at winnersandwiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over winnersandwiners.com.
And together, we make up Winners and Winers Radio. So it's good to have you guys with us. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Brutal day for me in the old NFL on Monday, finishing out, well, pretty much the way a lot of my weekend went for the pros. How about you, Scotty?
I had one play, so I kept it light. Yep. I went over, but apparently I lost less than you did. But I had Justin Herbert over 37.5 as the longest completion. A couple of deep shots there, which just didn't work out. His longest completion turned out to be 34. I just needed one broken tackle. Couldn't get it, but Williams was wide open down the sideline in the first half. He missed him. He was gone, arguably, for 70 yards. Yep. Missed him there. They ran a flea flicker. They had Keenan Allen across the middle on a deep crossing pattern. He missed him. I had chances. The Chargers had the ball for basically the entire first half.
Ridiculous.
And yet, the longest completion was 34, and I ended up losing by 4 yards.
Now, let's see. I had the over, and we were fighting a losing battle from the time the Raiders came out on the field in the first half as they recorded. What did we decide? 1 first down in the first half?
We'll talk about that in a second, but yeah.
Brutal. And then I had Brian Williams over.
You mean Edwards?
I mean Edwards. We got the Edwards. I got Williams in the brain. Edwards over 34.5. They targeted him one time through about the first 3 quarters of the game, and he caught one pass. Had a shot. We were live, Scott. They threw a bomb to him on that last drive for the Raiders, but as Carr did most of the night, he overthrew him. So if I'm going to listen to how good Derek Carr and Justin Herbert are, this is probably in the game I'm looking at, is what I'm telling you.
Justin Herbert.
I wasn't impressed with either one of them.
I thought Justin Herbert was fine. Truth is, he didn't really need to do much because the defense was so good for the Chargers. All Herbert had to do was just not screw it up, and they won the game.
Well, I mean, he was fine. I mean,
I thought he was fine.
I know guys are going to be out there, like three touchdown passes. He's great.
I think I was higher on his performance than you were because I thought he did a good job of going through his progressions.
Yeah.
So I thought he was fine, but he didn't really need to do much. The Chargers were coasting the entire way, and then the one time the Raiders made it close, he scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he was 25 of 38, 74.6 QBR, 107.6 rating. Fine. Better than Carr. I was even less impressed with him.
He was also running for his life the entire first half, but that is true.
That's no lie. Say, somebody want to block Bosa? Just saying. Just an idea. I don't know.
It was Bosa or it was the interior guys?
Well, the interior guys, Bosa would pinch him and cut off his retreat, make him step up, and of course he had no path to step up. So Bosa got him about half the time, and then the other guys were there to clean the table. So just all around terrible performance. I'm ready to put this week in the rearview mirror, as a handicapper, somebody who's been doing this long ass time, betting on sports a long time, betting it professionally even a fairly long time. It happens. You have brutal weekends like this, and it sucks, but all you can do is move on. Try not to be gun shy going forward. So that's what we're going to do, buddy. That's what we're going to do. And that's all. We got a lot to talk about today. No, we don't. We have one baseball game to talk about. That's it. So we'll recap that. We'll recap the football game even more so. We'll go even further in depth and tell you why we're pissed off. But first, Scott, let's find out who else is pissed off, shall we? Let's take a look. You know who you are. You're out there. You thought you had a winner, not like our plays where we really had no shot. Although when you got a longest pass, you're live every time the ball is snapped. But in reality,
the game flow was not great for me either.
You weren't looking good, right? No. Right, exactly. So some people took it in the shorts out there, Scott. Let's find out not only who lost today, but who thought they had a winner, and then all of a sudden they didn't. Let's call the cops, man. All right. Well, let's kick it off, shall we?
Preseason.
Taking a look, and I'm impressed that because I usually we'll fill these out together, but then sometimes Scott, when we have to do the deep dive, he goes above and beyond. So
I'm just saying, try to find one serious call the cops in one football game that was decided basically in the first 20 minutes.
Right. I mean, if you had a list of all the props, I'm sure we could come up with something.
I might actually call an audible on mine because there actually was one really bad prop that I could swap in instead. But you can go first.
We're going to start, as everybody loves, Scott, preseason NHL. If you had the Calgary Flames on the money line against the Edmonton Oilers, man, you were in great shape. You had to be doing your preseason hockey dance. You were up 3-0 in the second period. The Oilers, they said, you know what? We're not done. We're not going home without a victory. Scored 4 unanswered goals, Scott. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Flames lose 4-3. If you had Calgary there on the money line, so sorry. Call the cops.
And this one is the one I'm just audibling as we speak. If you had a Derek Carr over 6.5 rushing yards, you had a pretty brutal beat because he had 3 going into the last drive or so. Carr scrambled up in the pocket, ready to go. He's got about 5 yards in front of him, and he decides, you know what? Minute to go. I'm going to slide down early.
Slide, baby.
Gain 3 yards, finished with 6.
I saw that, and I thought to myself, I'll bet that was a bad slide for a lot of folks out there. Yeah, very good. And finishing it up with hockey, because, I love the NHL preseason. If you had the Red Wings plus 1.5 on the puck line, the reverse puck line, if you will, they're playing the Blackhawks. By the way, the Blackhawks got Saturday night, played about 2 blocks from my house. I could have walked there. They played the Blues in a preseason game.
Nice.
About an arena of about 4,500 people. And I'm sure it was rocking. So, anywho, Red Wings plus 1.5, Blackhawks. They trailed by 1 goal, less than a minute left, Scott. Oh, no, don't pull the goalie. It's preseason. Don't pull the goalie. No reason for that. Oh, they're pulling the goalie. Scott, what happens when you pull the goalie?
It depends, but usually if you have money on the underdog, you're going to lose.
It's an empty knitter. The Red Wings lose 6-4 if you had plus 1.5 pucks. Too bad, Pucker. You got beat. Call the cops, baby.
Not fun. There was another honorable mention that we had. I replaced it with the Carr one because it was a push.
Yeah.
But if you were laying 3 with the Timberwolves in NBA preseason yesterday, they're up 16 points going into the fourth quarter.
Sure.
And they get outscored 13 in the fourth quarter to win exactly by 3.
Ooh.
I took it out because it was a push in the end.
Yeah.
That's a bad beat push right there.
Thought we were chock full of content today. Way too much content. Worried about going over an hour.
Yep. Well, we can honestly go as long as we want, so we actually could go over an hour if we wanted to.
That's right. We've kind of rearranged some things, and you and I are just doing this in pod video form now. We've taken the radio part of our show out of it, so we may even drop an F-bomb, Scott. We don't know.
They couldn't stop us. They couldn't even hope to contain us.
No, absolutely not. So the opposite, Scott, of calling the cops when you're having those nice, easy wins, something that you and I can vaguely remember from about a week ago. But there were some people out there that were on the right side. They were definitely sitting in that rocking chair.
So the first one was on the football game. If you had the Chargers first half minus 2.5, you led a 7-0 after the first quarter. You led a 21-0 at halftime, which sounds easy enough. To make it even easier, the Raiders not only had 0 points, they had only 1 first down in the entire first half. And the first down they got, the yardage was overturned by a taunting penalty. Or was that in the third quarter? I believe that
was early.
That's what I thought.
First half. I don't know if it was.
So I'm pretty sure they got a first down finally, and Waller got a taunting penalty, so they got a first down basically on 0 net yards.
Yeah.
Not good.
So the first down counts, and then they back it up 15 yards from where they were. So the
catch was for about like 20 yards.
I was going to say I think they netted 5 yards on that.
Maybe, but they had 1 first down collectively as a team. So yeah, it's
ridiculous, Scott. Just utterly ridiculous. And we talked about it, about Gruden and his coaching decision. But we'll break that down further here in just a minute. Well, Scott, looking back to the NHL. No, I'm kidding. It's NBA. If you had the Heat -3, they were playing the Hawks, not the Black Hawks, but the Hawks. They led by 16 at halftime. There's no shenanigans. There's no fourth quarter coming back to push. No, none of that. They stretched their lead out and end up winning by 26. If you had the heat, you were on fire. You were in good shape right there, sitting in the rocking chair.
And the last one was also an NBA preseason, but this was an underdog. If you had the Spurs plus 3.5 against the Jazz, led by 11 points at halftime, led by 26 after 3 quarters, and won by 26 points.
Can't stop the pop, buddy.
In preseason, apparently. That regular season team's going to be awful.
Think so?
Their win totals, it's either in the low 30s or the high 20s. I'm pretty sure it's the high 20s. Well, it's going to be a terrible basketball team.
I know they were awful last year, so
they got even worse. They lost DeRozan, they lost Patty Mills. That team is terrible.
That should go well. All right, very good. Well, Scott, let's talk about it and see who we're going to hand out the golden feed bag to. We did for a slow sports day. We had a couple of contenders here, but I've decided to go with this one. I think it's head and shoulders above the rest. Scott, who in the world is today's donkey of the day? All right. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen this story by now. The Baltimore Ravens went into Mile High Stadium, exposed the Denver Broncos for the perhaps pretenders that they were as they started their season 3-0 against the Little Sisters of the Poor.
What do you think? 7-10 for Denver?
Better hurry. Or they got 3 now.
They got 3 now, but Bridgewater's out indefinitely.
They got that, and they got that last place schedule still. So 7 sounds about right. So as it comes down to it, the Ravens they end up winning the game handily. They have a big lead. And Denver had kept all their starters in. They had gone down the field to score what we often return to on this show as a meaningless touchdown. And in this case, Scott, it really was, as they didn't want to get shut out, you know. So that was something that, and they actually, you know what, I'm wrong. They didn't do it, and they tried to do it in this game, but they weren't able to pull it off. They had scored 7. So the Ravens get the ball back, and they decide that they are not going to kneel down with under a minute to go because they are going to tie a record. It's kind of an obscure record, but it's, I guess maybe to them it's not. It's the number of games in a row with 100 or more yards rushing. The Steelers have the record at 75. Ravens were sitting at 74.
That's consecutive, by the way.
Did I not say consecutive?
I think you just said games, but
yes, that would have been a very big difference. So they gave the ball to Jackson kept the ball right on a carry on a keeper. He gained 5 yards. Baltimore
took a knee.
Then he takes a knee. Baltimore ends up with 102 yards. The record is intact. They tie the Pittsburgh Steelers 75 consecutive games. Everybody's happy, right, Scott? I mean, Denver's not happy. They lost the game, but
I know where we're going to go with this, but I'm just going to ask, if you were the coach of the other team,
right?
How would you feel about that?
If I was Vic Fangio?
Yeah.
I'd feel, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would feel that maybe I shouldn't have sucked so much for the entire rest of the game.
That's fair. I'm just curious because you're going to talk about what Fangio said right now. I was curious how you would have responded.
I would not have. I wouldn't have responded in public and sounded like a whiny little bitch.
Okay.
You know, if your emotions get the best of you on the sideline, because he threw a tantrum on the sideline, he threw his headset and stomped around.
Did he not shake Harbaugh's hand after the game, or
I don't know. I didn't see that. The only clip I saw was him throwing the tantrum, and then it cut off.
Okay.
I didn't see if there was a confrontation. Everything I read about this, they didn't talk about it, so I don't really know, which makes it even more of a bitch move if you got a beef and then you don't address it with the coach at midfield and then you go bitch about it to the press. I'm sorry, this just gets worse and worse. So basically what happened, Fangio complained about it, bitched about it, press conference, bitched about it today, and it was, instead of talking about what a terrible job his team did, how they couldn't stop anybody, they couldn't move the ball, he chose to address the real problem of Baltimore basically running an extra play. Okay, so we talk a lot about unwritten rules. apply to baseball. Last year when we were doing the show and they gave Tatis a hard time for hitting the grand slam to show up the pitcher or whatever
on a 3-0 count.
On a 3-0 count, in a game they were blowing out. He actually had to apologize for hitting a grand slam.
I just remember the Padres manager agreed with the Texas manager, and that whole thing was ridiculous. But
I'd throw at him too, or he didn't say that, but yes, that's exactly what it pretty much came down to. So, where are you at on this, bud? You sound like you're maybe taking Fangio's spot here. You're taking his side.
First of all, I think that you can make an argument that if you are the other team's coach, you would naturally be pissed. So I can kind of understand that point. I still think he should have said something to Harbaugh. But first of all, I got to give credit to Harbaugh. How many coaches even know that their team is in that situation?
Right. Not only do they know they're close, they know exactly how many yards they get, and so they tell him to kneel down once he gets 5 yards.
And I know that that's a minor thing, and it doesn't matter for the grand scheme of the game. That's probably why I love John Harbaugh as a coach, because he just has this attention to detail on even the most mundane things. I just find it very admirable.
Let me ask you this. Lamar Jackson's running around the edge, tears an Achilles. Now, are you still loving Harbaugh?
Denver could have clocked him.
Sure, absolutely. Denver could have clocked him, could have hit him in the knees, could have hit him low.
You see, I feel like Harbaugh is the kind of coach who, I'm not going to compare it to the 4th-and-1 decision involving Lamar, hey, you want to go for it? I do think he probably told his team, listen, we're like 1 game away from tying our arch rival's record in the history books. Do you want to get 5 yards? And I'm sure they said, absolutely, fuck yeah, let's do it. That's my assumption. So I am assuming he addressed
Look at you dropping the F-bombs. Look at you.
We're going to drop one, so I'm going to do it.
That's it.
I'm assuming that he told his team beforehand, we could do this or we could not do this, and the team said we're going for it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty close to right. He did seem to leave a lot of the decisions up to Lamar, which I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's a whole different story. Yeah, if you're a coach, have a plan. I'm not really interested in what your opinion is. When you get your own team, then you can have an opinion. But, Lamar Jackson isn't Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have 20 years in the league that I'm going to lean on his expertise. I'm extrapolating what I saw in other moments where he asks Lamar and he gets feedback from the team. I agree. And I don't think you're missing it far. I don't think that was the decision he made.
I don't think there's any way that the team lined up for a knee and Harbaugh said, no. Run the QB sweep and take a knee after 5 yards. I'm pretty sure they all knew what was going on.
And as far as like a classless move or something like that, you're not throwing deep. You're not taking a shot.
He gave himself up after 5 yards.
That's what I'm saying.
Whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Fangio said, well, we had our light defense out there, and it's about – what really made me mad, Scott, he said it's about player safety. Okay?
But weren't they running no huddle the previous drive?
That's what I'm telling you. So they get the ball, the drive before that, they get it at the 25, and they go 8 plays, 70 yards. They get it down inside the red zone, and Locke throws an interception. So
never heard that one before.
They did. They ran 8 plays in a minute and a half trying to get that last score.
Now, I'm doing the math there. 8 in a minute and a half. That sounds like they're not going full huddle after every single play.
No, they're running hurry up. They're running hurry up down the field. So, yeah, I mean, it's not about player safety. You didn't give a shit about your players in the last drive when you had your offense out there. I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I don't condone it, Scott. It is what it is. If you don't want to get shown up, we talk about this all the time. There's a very simple solution to these problems. Don't suck. That's it. You don't want to get shown up. Don't give up the home run. You don't want to get shown up. Don't give up 23 points to Baltimore when you only put 7 on the board. Don't suck. Then your problems are solved.
See, I feel like I have to agree with Harbaugh on this one in general, because if there's one thing I hate, it's how the quarterback and everyone are untouchable during the victory formation.
Right.
You've competed for 59 minutes. They're taking a knee, and you're just supposed to stand there like an idiot instead of trying to shove the offensive lineman into the quarterback and trying to cause a fumble or something.
They wanted to execute Schiano a couple years ago for doing
I agreed with Schiano. You're down a touchdown. Try to get the ball back.
Absolutely. When he was nosediving everybody there.
That was with Tampa against the Giants. I still remember that.
And they almost got the ball.
Yeah, like you got to try something. You can't preach a game based on competitiveness and you go into a mysterious formation where all of a sudden you can't do anything. The game's over.
No.
I'm okay with trying to do something there. So on the opposite end of the spectrum, yeah, I think it's fine. You gain yards, you kept your record. I am curious if they would have gone for it if it wasn't their arch rival who had the record.
I was gonna ask.
I do wonder if that played a factor into it, but
if it's the Washington football team that has it.
Like, do I think they would care? Maybe.
Well, maybe not Washington, but any other team.
I would assume like 70% would have been in for it.
Yeah.
It was Pittsburgh. They were definitely 100% in for going for it.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So, all right, I think we kind of agree on this situation.
No, we 100% agree. We just came from different angles.
Right, and
I was sympathizing with Fangio in a way by saying, I can understand after you got your ass kicked, you don't want to get shown up. So he's kind of just defending his players, stuff like that. But I don't have an issue in general with what Harbaugh did.
Again, okay, yeah, you're right, but he's not showing them up, throwing deep.
No, you know what I mean, though.
Running play action, running the what was it, the boomer science?
You mean the Buddy Ryan? What was it, a flea flicker against the Cowboys?
I was just going to talk about the fake spike. Was that Boomer Tyson that ran the fake spike and then hit him in the end zone for the Jets?
Well, that was Marino, but they were losing the game. That was actually strategy.
Well, I understand, but I know Marino did. I thought somebody did it for the Jets too.
I don't believe so.
Maybe they did it against the Jets.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. All right. So Vic Fangio, especially if you had a beef and you didn't say anything at midfield, maybe we've got some listeners, we got some viewers out there that saw that part of it. We didn't see that part of it. So hopefully he addressed it, at least addressed it with Harbaugh like a man.
Having said everything we did about Fangio, there was a coach who had an even worse weekend.
There was, Scott. Let's talk about it, shall we, in the segment that we have so aptly entitled, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. It's so hard to hit that cue because if I let it go too long,
I kind of like it twice, to be honest. It's like the donkey that never ends.
It goes into the battleship. If I let it go too long, and then we get.
There's a battleship? Oh, okay. I never knew it was a battleship. Okay,
yeah, this one.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't know that was a battleship.
Yeah, it's the battleship warning siren. So I'll let you take this one. I got to rant about Fangio. You can do your thing about Disco Urban.
So on the sheet, we usually write out a full description, couple points, stuff like that.
Bullet points.
I checked the sheet today, and I just see 2 words, and it just says Urban Meyer. And I feel like that's just like perfect way to sum up the mad and disappointed aspect of it, because we both thought that Urban Meyer, who has come with a lot of baggage to various programs in college, and yeah, he's had some issues that have gone on as well with some assistant coaches, stuff like that. Anyway, we thought that he would be a disaster in Jacksonville on the field. But off the field, we thought there might also be occasionally, maybe he would leave early because of a heart issue or something. But he might have had heart issues because he was kind of flirting with some people off the field. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's a fair way to put it. If you haven't seen the video, I wish we had the technology we could just cut to the clip, because he's basically, what would you call it, Scott? Grinding on the.
I guess he's not really moving. It's more of just he's receiving a bar stool. Yeah, he's referring. Yeah, I'll say it this way: he was receiving a COVID era lap dance. Is that fair?
A fully vertical lap dance,
pretty much.
And so he's sitting at the bar. He's got his back turned to the bar.
I'd be drinking too if I was Jacksonville's coach.
Oh my God! So now, Scott, have you seen the other angle?
Yes, that actually came out a couple hours ago, right?
Yeah, he's getting close to the full reverse scoop there.
Mm-hmm.
He's certainly taking some liberties with a young lady that normally you would not take in a bar without a lot of permission.
I've never gone a vertical lap dance in a bar before, so I can't relate to the proper etiquette.
Never got handsy? You did the reverse scoop?
In a college bar? No, you're getting run over during happy hour. That's how that works.
Okay, so I'll start. What the hell?
Did you enjoy the excuse, by the way? He said he was at a dinner and a couple of evil spirits or somebody or whatever came up to him and basically propositioned him to go to the bar in the first place. That was kind of the excuse he went with.
Evil spirit. You're going with evil spirits here?
A couple of bad intentioned individuals approached him.
I love when the coach or the player like takes to Twitter and makes their initial statement before they check with their agent, and then 2 or 3 hours later there'll be like a formal apology. And
I really want one coach to just type in "my bad" and just send it and just see what happens. Because everyone knows whatever he said is complete nonsense anyway. So you might as well just say "my bad" and that's it.
There's some, did you see the ass on that? There's just something you're like, well, can you blame me?
Like, he makes a point. Like, no, you're just looking at, like, no matter what he says, he's screwed. So the more excuses you try to build into it, the bigger the hole you're digging yourself into.
Oh, yeah.
So I would just, if I was in the situation, I would just say "my bad," and nobody would talk about it because you acknowledged it. You didn't, like, make an excuse or anything. By you claiming a reason why, you just made it infinitely worse for yourself because of the memes.
I don't get it. I don't. He is he's been married since 1986, by the way. How about that?
Nice.
Yeah, real solid. So
he's trying to spice things up a little bit.
Been married 35 years. Yeah. Been married a long time, too.
It's about 34 more years and he's going to be with the Jaguars.
Man. Oh, dude, oh, my God. He's got daughters. He has daughters that are older than that girl in the bar.
That are older than the girl in the bar?
Yeah, his daughters are older.
Because I couldn't tell how old the girl in the bar was.
I thought she was like a college student.
Okay. I think I had her a bit older. I thought she was probably like maybe mid-20s.
Okay, maybe.
Still, I don't know how old her daughters are. His daughters are, but still.
Well, they've graduated from college. So
okay.
So
congratulations to them.
Let me tell you how this works. As a father of 3 daughters, all right, you can look the absolute ceiling or the absolute floor for the age that you can look at in any sort of, oh, that's an attractive female there. The absolute floor is at least a couple of years older than your youngest daughter. Okay. So as they get older, that scale rises. So for me,
so that's the opposite of the Matthew McConaughey Dazed and Confused high school girl theory.
They all stay the same, yes.
So it doesn't. This one actually increases as you go. Okay.
It is a sliding scale, and that scale has served me very well. Keeps you from any kind of creeper situation because let's face it, Scott, a 60-year-old man ain't got nothing to talk to with the 25-year-old woman. Nothing. I can barely stand talking to you for an hour a day.
She might have been impressed by the speed option play call on 4th and 1.
What, you think that was it? You think she was giving him tips on how to juice up the offense? Mm-hmm. What'd you trade Minshew for? What's the matter with you, grind?
She's just trying to like honeypot the situation, trying to find out like strategies moving forward.
God, do you think she was asking him like, do you know where the Miami coach stays?
Coach, spread next week's +7.5. You think you're covering?
Oh my God. Why would you go for it there, coach? I don't know. I don't understand it. Of course we had the roast team, but we don't have to ask you. It's a terrible look. What kind of judgment and I know we talk about with politics, about your personal life, you got to separate that from the politician. We did it with Clinton and Trump and blah, blah, blah.
I'll tell you what, though. Urban Meyer did not have sex with that woman. He did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Well, not on the dance floor, he didn't.
That was a Bill Clinton joke, but fair enough.
I understand. No, I get that. I get it. But so do we separate our sports people the same way?
I don't.
Does he get roasted less if Jacksonville's 4-0?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Didn't Jerry Jones bring an attractive woman into the press box or like at a club with him or something? And people are going, good for Jerry. Look at him. It's because he's successful. It's because Jerry actually makes a ton of money, and you're like, all right, good for Jerry. But I think the issue wasn't the fact that he was getting a dance from a girl in a bar. The issue was his team's 0-4. People think it's the worst team in the league, and he's having a good time. At least that was my interpretation of why people were upset at that. Is that fair?
Oh, no, I don't think it is.
Besides the marriage aspect, but realistically, a lot of married people have gone to strip clubs or, to other whatever.
It was at a bar.
That's what I'm saying. So, whatever.
It was like that's TGI.
I'm saying, so, if a girl walks up to you, I'm sure other married people might partake as well. So that's not the angle I'm coming at. I'm coming at the angle of his team stinks. Maybe he shouldn't have as good of a time publicly as he's been having.
Oh, great. Well, I'll go ahead and pick up the bucket of Urban Meyer's a horrible human being because he's been married for 35 years and he's grinding against a 20-something in a bar.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and take that angle.
That's one way of taking the angle. I'm just saying that Urban Meyer's not the only married guy who would have also accepted a dance from a girl at a bar.
I don't think it lit up Twitter today because the Jacksonville Jaguars are 0-4. I think it lit up Twitter because he's a scumbag.
I think it could be both.
Why not both?
Yeah.
All right, very good. So when we talked about it was hard to decide who was going to be donkey and who was going to be disappointed. I think we got it sorted out in the right direction. So, all right, buddy. Quick reminder: you are listening to Winners and Winers Radio, soon to be renamed, by the way. Scott, it's going to be heading back to the window with Scott and Scott. You excited?
Looking forward to it.
Okay, great.
I wasn't sure if you were going to say that on the air or you're just going to wait for the title to change one day in the YouTube description.
I thought we should give them a heads up.
And people just go like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, we're going to be changing it when we go live. We're going to be going live, Scott. You ready?
Live?
Live.
We'll do it live.
We're going to be doing it live on in the afternoons. I think from 3 to 4 Eastern time is the time that's we're getting ready to plug in. So
looking forward to it.
Hopefully everybody will still join us. It's going to be hard if we are your partner there in the morning as you're doing your morning routine. I apologize for that, but we're going to have you better numbers, better injury information,
better ingredients,
Papa John's. There you go. All right, Scott. So a little bit of movement in the NFL MVP situation. Kyler Murray, he is now your favorite.
He should be.
Plus 550 at Caesar Sportsbook. Patrick Mahomes, perhaps you've heard of him. He's pretty good. He's plus 600. Josh Allen plus 800. Brady Rogers are plus 900.
But how am I supposed to vote for Mahomes if his team's 500?
I don't know, Scott. figure out a way to do it in your heart because you watch these two fumble clowns tonight continually overthrow guys.
Mahomes is a god. I think Mahomes is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There's no way around it. I'm just speaking what the obvious is in public, but Murray should be the favorite because it's also a narrative award. The Cardinals, if they win the toughest division in football and Murray doesn't get injured, he'll win the award, in my opinion, because Mahomes already got one. They don't typically like to give it to the same guy numerous times unless they really, really deserve it.
Yep.
Mahomes should arguably deserve it because if the Chiefs go 12-5 with this defense, I'd probably give it to Mahomes anyway.
Yeah, let's see. Well, there's 17 games. I think they're going to have to put up 800 points to do that.
Yeah, so either way, the Chiefs will have to average like 35 points per game if they're going to go 12-5 or more, or better. But I think Murray should be the favorite. He hasn't won it before. He's a dynamic player. He's very talented, and they're in the toughest division in football. So,
and you say
also the only undefeated team left.
You say it in the NFC.
No, there's no other undefeated.
Oh, that's right, because
left.
the Raiders went down. You're right.
Yeah.
There was only 2 left. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
4 weeks, 1 undefeated team.
Dolphins are starting to pop the champagne already. Zonka's getting the bottle opener already.
Yeah, absolutely sure. And you always talk about how much they love a narrative, and that is absolutely true. And there's no better narrative than the guy that turned down the MLB contract to go play in the NFL.
Yep.
Which I thought at the time was a horrible mistake.
I'm sure if Oakland still had him, they might have made the playoffs this past year.
Oh, my goodness. The Athletics certainly have their own problems. Anybody else there worth a sniff?
I think it's tricky. Brady, I'm going to say no. I don't want to say that this game eliminated him against New England, but it really wasn't pretty. And I think that Brady, if they were going to win it, Tampa, I thought, would need to dominate. And I know they won the game against New England anyway, and this team is still 3-1, which is good. The offense just hasn't wowed me as much as I feel like it needed to if he was going to win the award. And I feel like if they're going to give it to him, it's going to be a legacy award. But in terms of who actually deserves it, I see 3 guys right now. You have obviously Murray. You got Mahomes. I'm not taking Stafford. I don't think Stafford's going to make it. I'm not taking Rodgers either. I'm actually going Josh Allen. And I know that he wasn't amazing against the Texans last week. He was pretty good. But I just think the Bills are going to score so many points that he's just going to have such an opportunity because Green Bay, Rodgers, he won it last year. You rarely see the same guy win it twice. And I think people might overreact to that blowout loss in week 1 and just go, Rodgers, nah. Like, he's already starting behind the 8 ball. Allen, if the Bills end up averaging like 35 points per game or something like that, which is feasible,
right?
Allen's numbers are going to be nuts. So I'm going to say those are my 3. You?
How about Russ at 25-1 if you want to take a shot?
I think Russ is going to fall into the same area that Breeze did his entire career, which was this guy's insanely good. He's obviously worthy of an MVP season, and yet there's always another guy with better stats who wins the award instead of him.
Could be.
Because I think Breeze should have won 1, but then you look at all the years and go, besides the passing record year, you had Peyton Manning, you had Tom Brady, and you had a bunch of ridiculous quarterbacks during that era. So he didn't have a realistic chance to win one besides the 1 year.
And that was a shame.
You're looking at, I would have voted for Breeze, but you're looking at Wilson.
Oh, you were wrong. So
he's competing with Mahomes. He's competing with Kyler Murray. He's putting up great numbers as well. In terms of valuable is the key word. Wilson should arguably win it every year because the supporting cast is not very good, and yet he'll still win 10, 11 games every season.
Fair enough. And, Kyler Murray, he has really improved his accuracy. He used to be kind of a running quarterback, and now he's actually throwing the ball quite well.
I think the main difference is the footwork because Kyler used to throw a lot off his back foot.
Right.
Just trying to fade away because he's so short. He tried to get it over. He'd lofted over some guys, and the footwork would get a little messy. He's been a lot better in keeping his footwork actually on target.
Well, his accuracy outside of the pocket has increased dramatically, too, and that's a huge part of his game because obviously he's not going to be at his height. He's not going to be a traditional drop-back passer. Just not.
Now, I wouldn't bet Murray at this price because I still have the injury concerns, and I'm not sure if you can actually win the award if you get injured for a game or two. Right. And Murray has missed some games in his career, but he deserves to be the favorite right now.
Okay.
You?
Oh, I'm with you. I think the best player on the best team right now, and especially coming off a very good win there against the Rams, a team that I thought was better than Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason. And, Mahomes is, in spite of his 5 touchdown passes yesterday or on Sunday, rather, but
the interceptions are a little bit noticeable.
They are. And, the sad part is he doesn't have many. Comparatively speaking, but for Mahomes, he has a lot. He threw 6 last year. He's got 4 this year.
Well, he had 6 last year, but he also had about 17 that were dropped.
Well, that's always the thing. They always come back with Mahomes like, oh, they dropped it.
No, but the point is that you can make an argument that the fact that he's having more means that Mahomes was always taking chances. Just you're going to eventually balance it out just based on positive or negative regression.
That's true. Actually, I don't think you can have positive regression, but that's
progression. Sorry.
For another time. Hey, congratulations to Bubba Wallace and Michael Jordan and that whole team. Picked up a win at Talladega yesterday in a rain-shortened race there. They had to cancel on Sunday. Finally got enough of it in.
Danny Hamlin too, who's like a half owner, half racer for another. He's got his own thing going on.
Yep. And Bubba paid 33-1 to win Talladega. Scott, that'd have been a nice hit because when we did our NASCAR show, you and I and one of our former colleagues used to do a NASCAR show last year, and we always talked about how the super speedways, if you were going to pick somebody to kind of jump up and steal one, the super speedways sometimes are the place to do it because they get jumbled up there and they
just avoid the big wreck.
Well, you have to avoid the big one, obviously. And with them cutting it off after, I think they went 133 laps. After cutting it off, you didn't have the opportunity for that big wreck there inside of 5. So,
for the record, I don't know if it's a hot take. I'm not trying to sound like a hater. If it was full distance, Bubba Wallace is not winning.
You don't know. You don't know.
You don't know, but I'm saying his odds of winning, let's just say I wasn't in favor of.
33-1?
Well, mid-race, it was probably closer to around 7. I think there's no chance even in first place Bubba was the leading live bet favorite.
No, I'm sure, but that's the thing. If you are on the lead lap,
that's all you need
at a super speedway,
It's a chip in the chair.
You've got a chip in a chair. That's exactly right. You never know how the train's going to go. You never know which line. Maybe you get hung out to dry. Maybe you get a push at the right time, and all of a sudden you're in the fast line.
Oh, good for him. He was fortunate, but it's the same thing as winning a money line on a rain delay bet. It happens. You don't know if anything's going to happen, but you were winning at the time, so good for him.
Cash that ticket, absolutely, and it absolutely goes down in the record books as a win. It's the first win for an African American. It's the second all time in NASCAR. The first since 1963. Yeah, good for him, Scott. Does it? I don't know. Does it mean more? Is it that big of a deal? I mean, we talked about, we've talked about some breakthrough things. We talked about, gay players are now in the various sports leagues. You don't even talk about, when I was younger, Scott, if you had an African American quarterback, that was a big deal. When the Steelers won with Joe Gilliam, that was.
Of course, I'm thinking Doug Williams for
Doug Williams in the Super Bowl, right? So, and now it's no longer even a thing. It's not even thought of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So is this? I think we're kind of on the way there. I don't think NASCAR is necessarily quite as colorblind as some of the other sports, just because of the rigors involved in the way that you come up. It's for lack of, it's kind of a rich man's sport, because to get going in it, you've got to spend a lot of money on equipment. And it's more of a suburban type of situation. So I think it's fantastic. Bubba Wallace seems like a great guy. I'm super happy for him. Just another barrier that's been smashed, and I think all sports are better for it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if he's a great guy or not. I thought the whole garage noose door handle scandal thing was just atrocious in itself. So.
Well, it kind of took on a life of its own. I don't know what sort of.
I don't really know, but I don't know if Wallace is a good guy or not. Either way, he made history, so good for him. But I think it's a big deal moving forward because of the fact that it might attract other African-American drivers to Michael Jordan's team.
Finally, Michael Jordan can have some success at something.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if Michael Jordan was going to only go after African-American drivers, but I do think that if you do have a successful African-American driver, it could pave the way for people to suddenly be interested in potentially joining the actual circuit.
Agreed. And hopefully you could do something that makes it a little more accessible, maybe develop some programs, like baseball has developed the RBI program to reach out to inner city youth and things like that. So.
Also, shout out to Michael Jordan. He's a more successful NASCAR owner than he is an NBA owner.
More wins as a NASCAR.
He has more wins, yeah. Is it too soon to make that joke or no? Because the NBA side is not that pretty.
No, it's you can't be expected to know anything about basketball. His
expertise is in NASCAR.
He's all about the auto racing. Yeah, him and Joe Gibbs, buddy.
Joe Gibbs was successful in a lot of different trades. I'll tell you that much.
He really was.
Even his son or his grandson's a good driver.
Who's his grandson?
He's in. I don't remember if it's the Truck Series or he's in the Xfinity Series, but he's got like a grandson or somebody who's actually a good driver.
Corey Gibbs, is that right?
Could be, but he's good. Guy can race.
Okay, well, probably had pretty good equipment.
I'm sure he did.
Well, Scott, up there in your neck of the woods, I was going to say the manager purging has begun. It wasn't a true firing, though, Scott.
I need the wording. I need to know if the manager fired bets are done or not, because this guy didn't get fired. He was let go. They were downsizing.
He was asked not to come back.
They were downsizing. They were headed in a different direction.
They've got him in a very small office in the basement. They took his stapler.
Yep. He might set the building on fire.
So I'm looking the official wording is move on. Decline the option, but it's Luis Rojas of the New York Mets. He will not be returning to coach the New York Mets next season to manage the Mets. So is Bob Melvin still alive? What are we doing here?
I feel like that's the question everyone wants to know. But either that or Baldelli. I'm sure a lot of people want to know about Baldelli because you're praying that you're fading Aaron Boone. And if the Yankees lose the game to Boston, which we'll talk about in a second, then I'm assuming he'll get fired. So the clock is ticking on some people who might be trying to make some tickets before the playoff game takes place. But Yeah, I am fine with the move.
By the way, because you called for Bob Melvin's firing in the second week of April, you are not able to do a victory lap if they fire him in October.
I disagree. But we'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge.
They're 2-9. They need to fire him now.
Anyway, they didn't make the playoffs, though. That was a bit surprising.
No.
But anyway, to go through the actual stuff with Rojas quickly, the Mets were expected to win the division. We didn't think they would. We liked Atlanta preseason. But
that's made us look silly for a long time.
Yeah, the Mets were supposed to. I don't know if they made us look silly. Every other team was so bad that the Mets were the default leader in the NFC East last year, for example. But the point is that the Mets really have underachieved for a long time. They have the one fluky Daniel Murphy World Series appearance, which they lost to your team.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
Other than that, they've had really no success pretty much since the turn of the millennium.
Yeah.
I can't criticize the move because this team spent a ton of money on players, and you got to blame somebody, so they're going to blame the manager.
All right, very good. Hey, let's take a look at this baseball game, Scott. We got the Yankees, and you got your Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox are the home.
No, you got my Yankees and the Boston Red Sox.
That's right, and the Red Sox, of course, hosting this game because they ran the Yankees out of the building during the regular season. Scott, they won the
10-9.
10-9, and they outscored them by, do you know?
It was a lot because the beginning of the year was pretty hideous. No, I'm joking. Wasn't it like 5 runs?
1 run.
Damn it.
1 run.
I was trying to set up a great fake whatever just to say it was a small number. It was smaller than I thought it even was.
Yeah, no, it's 1. So these teams obviously evenly matched throughout the season. It's going to be Garrett Cole against Nathan Eovaldi. You and we do have a spoiler alert. We got to bet the farm play on this game.
Prop.
I don't feel like that's giving away too much.
We're going to talk about the game though because we got a prop we like.
Yep, you're absolutely right. But we're not going to talk about that prop, but we will talk about the game. Scott, Yankees are favored here. About -120 is the last thing I saw. Let me.
They should be.
If that's changed, it's a little bit. Yeah, it's gone up. It's starting to creep up. -123, -125 at DraftKings.
I think we would agree. Even if Cole has struggled lately, he's got to be favored over Eovaldi.
Sure.
It's based on principle. Yeah, you have to put Cole as the favorite.
Although Eovaldi's had a fine season, he leads the majors in FIP. Did you know that?
I actually was aware of that.
There you go. So it's not like he's had a trash season. He's been very good.
Yeah, he's been great, with that stuff, but he pitches in a damn home run derby ballpark, so we'll see what happens.
He does. And you're going to go with Cole in this one, even though he's struggled lately?
It's really a tough spot because the Yankees did pretty well against Boston the last time they were in Fenway. They swept. But for me, I think that it's going to be a very tight game, obviously. The Yankees' offense really struggled in the final 3 games against Tampa.
Right.
But Tampa's also just a really good pitching staff. Like, that team's just really talented.
I've heard that.
Boston, even though they won 2 out of 3 against Washington, they won 2 out of 3 or they swept?
They won 2 out of 3.
They did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They didn't really look that good in that series either. They had to come from behind a couple of times. They pulled it off and everything, but this Boston bullpen is really something that you should be fearful of, especially if Eovaldi, who got shelled against New York in his last time out, can't give you any distance because your ace in the hole was supposed to be Chris Sale. But he obviously pitched on Sunday, so he's not available. They already announced he's not available, not even for the bullpen. So you're going to have to piece together Eduardo Rodriguez and some other mid-relief because you also used Pivetta to close out the game on Sunday. Now, I don't like Pivetta, but you used 2 of your starters.
About Houck?
Houck's a guy. I think you could bring him for 3 innings. He gave up no hits his last outing. But the bullpen stinks. We know that. And the Yankees bullpen, which has been a roller coaster all season long, they might have found something because they're bringing Severino out of the bullpen now. Right. Chapman's been really good lately. I'm not a big Chad Green guy this season, but Loizaga has been insane.
Yeah,
Holmes has been great. They have some guys.
Well, and Holmes is the guy that I think has really kind of been a surprise.
Yeah. He had an ERA of 5 with Pittsburgh, and they brought him over, and he's given up 1 run or 2 runs with the Yankees.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Of course, they've still got Wandy Peralta back there too. If you need somebody to throw some to eat some innings, and this is a Yankees pit that's been very good since the trade deadline. They're third in ERA, second in WHIP, I believe.
Now, Cole, of course, is, let's just say, struggling. And against the Red Sox, he's fared okay this season. In Fenway, it's been a bit of a dicey ride.
It has. It hasn't been a great season for Garrett Cole in Fenway Park. No question about it. He did manage to, his last outing against Boston is kind of deceiving. He shows 6 innings, 3 earned runs. We've pitched 5 scoreless innings to start. He gave up that 3-run home run to Devers there in the 6th. So
he looked a lot better the second time around, because earlier this year he got shelled in about an inning of work.
Yeah, I agree. So one of the bigger problems, of course, talk about a lot of people that are banged up for the Yankees. Of course, DJ LeMahieu not going to be making the game. He's done.
Voigt's also done, but he wouldn't have played anyway.
Voigt's done, but it's a valuable bat off the bench if you need.
It's a bench bat that the Yankees don't have.
So, but on the Boston side, they've got their own problems. They've got JD Martinez, who turned his ankle on running, hit a bag, hit second base wrong, turned his ankle on Sunday. So he's questionable. He's going to be a game time decision. How big of a deal is that, Scott? Although he doesn't hit Cole extremely well.
I think it's a big deal just because of the fact that he can also work a count. So if you want to get base runners, of course, that'll help you out, because Martinez is a pure hitter. He's just very good. But he's kind of in the same boat Urshela's in. They both really can't move around that much, but they're warriors, and they're probably going to play. Now, Urshela is different because he's also playing the field.
Right.
And Martinez can field to save his life, so he's going to DH.
I was at that game. He ran into the wall and broke his arm, by the way. Broke his wrist.
Just saying in general, though, he's not exactly a good fielder by any means, so I'm assuming he'll DH. Urshela has to play the field. The Yankees in the infield are so bad defensively that Urshela has to play the field. I think that Martinez is going to play, but I am wondering how soon you can maybe pull him for a pinch runner.
All right, so give me your picks. Let's wrap it up. Give me your picks on the game and the total.
As a Yankees fan, I'm torn because I want us to win and make the playoffs, but I have despised watching this team play for the entire season. This team just gives me pain and suffering. I'm taking the Yankees.
Okay.
I think Cole's going to pitch well. Eovaldi, I think, will do fine, but I do think it's going to be close late, and I trust the Yankees' bullpen more than Boston's bullpen.
Cole, by the way, 2.02 ERA as a playoff pitcher after he left Pittsburgh.
He lost the final game against Tampa last year. He gave up 1 hit in the entire game.
Yeah, lost 2-1.
Yeah, I don't know if he got the loss or no. Chapman gave up the home run to Brosseau, but he gave up 1 hit or something like that. Like he was fantastic.
He's a gamer. He's a big game guy. I've got to go with you. I've got to play the Yankees here.
It's going to be a war. I don't see this being a blowout in any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. All right, good enough. What do you feel about the total?
For the total, we kind of disagree a little bit, which is why it took us a while to actually come up with the play of the day. I'm looking at the under.
Okay.
It's playoff baseball. These teams hate each other.
Yep.
I see a lot of stressful situations anytime there's a guy on base. I don't like the current form of the Yankees offense, and I think Cole will pitch pretty well. I see this game being 4-3 or 3-2, but I'm taking the under.
See, and I think you're suffering from recency bias because they struggled.
I might be.
Tampa Bay, but the 9 games before that, they put up 55 runs. So.
Some of it could be nerves. Just thinking about the guys going against their arch rival in a 1-game elimination, I do think you might see a little bit of tightness.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I'm going the other direction. I'm gonna fade the Boston bullpen. And I'm also going to fade Eovaldi just a little bit because the big bats for the Yankees, they absolutely mash against Eovaldi. Stanton, Judge.
With the exception of Joey Gallo.
And Rizzo. Well, I don't count Rizzo as a big bat.
He counts between 3 and 5, so.
I mean, yeah, the 1.5 times he runs into one during the week. But no, and Gallo really struggles against Eovaldi.
I think he's 1 for 8 or 9 in his career.
I think he's 1 for 9. But yeah, that's the thing. That's those guys hit him well. So I think they're going to launch some balls down the short right field, and you see Judge going oppo. I can just see it.
I think Judge will have a good game. I really like how Judge has been swinging the bat lately.
Right around the pesky pole, maybe launch some over the monster. And then you get a shot at the Boston bullpen. I see it going over. So
okay.
All right, very good. Well, it's that time, Scott. We have put our heads together. We have come up with one play that we like more than all the others. And of course, we did not do well yesterday at farm or
we had a full quarter of draws.
Yes, it was just absolutely brutal. We needed the Raiders to score one more touchdown, Scott, and they couldn't get there. It seemed like such an easy play.
They got into plus territory. They settled for a 50-something yarder, which wasn't even close.
Yes, it was brutal. So we are going to rally right now. We put on our rally hats. Time to get it going, Scott. Climb on your tractor. Put on your overalls, everybody. It is time to get your pink slips out. Get those deeds to the back 40 in your hand, because it's time to bet the farm. All right. Well, we are going to preseason NBA basketball. We're not doing that. We're going to the game. We're going to take a look at the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. Scott, we're going to take a prop as you teased earlier. We're going to take Nathan Eovaldi over 5.5 strikeouts. That's minus 115 at DraftKings. That's the best price we could find on that. A couple of notes here that'll help sell this case to you. Nathan Eovaldi has struck out 6 or more batters in 15 of his last 17 games, Scott. He has made 6 starts against the Yankees this season. In 5 of those 6 starts, he struck out 6 or better. In those 5 games, he had 38 total strikeouts. And finally, the Yankees, they're not afraid to generate a little win with the bats. My friend, they average 9.15 strikeouts per game. That is 6th most in the league. Scott, I'm not sure if they get to him for some hits, but I think there's going to be a lot of balls either flying out or strike 3, because we like Nathan Eovaldi over 5.5 strikeouts on our Bet the Farm play.
Yeah, I think that number's too low. I think it should be closer to 6.5.
Yep, I totally agree. I think 6.5 is the right number there. So we're going to take advantage of the inefficiency in the market. So that is our play. Good luck on that one, guys. Good luck on all your plays. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking us out. We appreciate the effort for myself and for Scott Reichel, for the whole team over here at winnersandwhiners.com. We appreciate all that you do. Don't forget to drop us a comment. Don't forget to rate and subscribe, all that good stuff. Guys, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow on Winners and Whiners Radio. Take care, everybody.